So what we'll do, we created our string variables, we extracted the date of birth, then for the year, we copied out of the from 5, the 2 characters. That will give us the year only. So we can, let's say, we'll get the numbers 20. So we can now make the assumption. So we can assume the person is not over 100 years old. So generally, I'll tell you that as well. Assume. So what we can do you agree? If the number that we extracted, if it's less than 23, it means it can be 20 that, and if it's more than 23, it means it's 19 with that. So how do we do that code? So if our year is between, let's say, 0 and 23, then it is in the year 2000s. But if the year is 23 or more, then it is in the 1900s. All right, so who can help me? If I want this to be done, depending on what's there, what can I do here? Okay. Yes, talk to me. All right, so we cannot minus strings. So what can we do? All right, so we can make our life a bit easier. Is there a way that we can take this string? Is there a way to take a string and make it an integer? Oh, yes. So what we can do, we can just say our integer here is string to int of year. So now we took that string and we made it an integer. All right. Is your life now easier? What can we do now? Yeah, tell me, what do you want to suggest? Okay. So I'm not sure what you wanted to say, but if the question was, let's say we've got an age here as well. We couldn't just, can we just go and say age is 2023, subtract I year? Would that work? Yes. So we need to fix this part. So how can we get this here to 4 digits now? Yes. We can do that also. Okay, so what do you want to do then now? How can we get it to 4 digits? Sorry, I missed that. If I here is, Yes, talk to me. But how will you know if it should be 20 or 19? So if it's, you said smaller than 24. So if I here is less than 24, then, so you can say our I here is then equal to 2000 plus I here. Okay, because I here is less than 24. So we'll take I here, we add 2000 to it, and that will be our new I here, which is 100% right. And then in our else, what can I do in the else? A 100%. Okay, so I here is 2000 plus I here. If it's less than 24, otherwise it's 1900 plus I here. Okay, that's perfect. Now, yes, talk to me. Yeah, so you don't, if it's one line of code, you don't actually need it. So, but it's maybe, so if you don't have a begin and end, it will work for one line only. If you've got two lines in here, it won't work. But it's maybe better to always have it. It's let's say it's safer to always have it. So that's why I'll quickly add it for you. I generally forget, but it is, yeah, it's better to keep them. All right, so once we've done that, so now we added either 2000 or 1900. So now we can say our age is 2023, subtract the I year, which will be the age. And then we can just our edit age dot text and just give it our, that should hopefully work. Say 11 years old. Yeah. We could have given maybe here, we can also here just say our edit year dot text is then our int to string of I year. So then you should see 12, 12, 12. So it's born in the year 2012, age is 11. Or if that is 50, born in the year 1950, so age is 73. Okay, okay. Right, so our next one I want to look at is entering 5 names. Radia, it's just you again, please mute for me. So we're entering 5 names. I'm going to go to that one. So with this one, degree, we want to enter 5 names. So because they told us we want 5 names, what does that tell you? Degree, if you want to do something 5 times, what all we need? A for loop. For loop means we need our I integer. All right. And then they asked for names. So what data type will a name be? String, yes. All right. So let's say names, and that will be of type string. All right. So we said because we want to do something 5 times, we needed our for loop. So we put for, we click tab, we get this list. Oh, and then we remember we don't actually want to create that. Remember we wanted an array for this. So let's just delete that. Okay, if we want to enter 5 names, so we go up here to the private area and then we create our variable. How do I create an array that can store 5 names? Can one of you guide me with that? Yes, talk to me. So remember, so it's our, we use our ARR C, I think it was, or array C. Array C. And then, oh, no, no, so it's array D. Let me see, I think it's array D. Yes, array D is the one we want to type. So you just press array D and then tab. So I'll put it in comments. So we type in array D and then tab. Then you'll get, yeah, so that's the name. So we can call this one now, let's call it names. And we wanted 5 names, so it's from 0 to where? Yes. And then of type, we set now names is of type string. Do you agree? So we create our array on top. The array's name is names. It will have spaces from 0 to 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 5 spaces, all of them type string. Now we can go to our button. We knew it's a for loop. We want to start at 0. We want to go to 4 to begin. Right. And now, if I want to ask now the user to type in a name, what do I do? Yes. So it's first our variable name where we want to store it. So that's names. But remember, names is an array. So because it's an array, we need square brackets. And in the square brackets, we have to say which position are we working with. So we're positioning I. So what we want to do is we want to enter 5 names into this array of ours. Okay. Yes, so you'll see the screen just said enter 5 names. So it's just 5 names we want to enter here underneath each other. Then we're going to want to sort the names alphabetically, look for a name, change the names. And then, okay, this one is like introduction for next time. All right, so we want to do it 5 times. So we want to put it in there. Why do we want to put in there? The name. So that's where we use our input box now. And the enter names. Then we can, prompt is please enter a name, and then our default value can maybe be blank. So what this will do is it will ask the person to type in a name, it will put it into names 0, and then we'll put it into names 1, 2, 3, and 4, all of them. What we can do is after they enter it, we also want to maybe just in our array display names dot lines dot add, we can just display our names I. So now if we run it, let's see what happens. If I click this, we can give 5 names. Bit, Quest, Sarki, and Bob. And there you'll see all 5 names stored there. And currently they are also in our array, so that we can use this now to sort them. Right. Any questions with this part so far? All right. So what I want now, if you can get yours to work, get this part working, hopefully all of yours should be working now. I want you to quickly try and do the sort for me. Only the sort. So I think I'll give you, let's say, between 5 and 10 minutes. Let me know with a thumbs up as soon as you're done with this one in the Discord chat. Just put a thumbs up here for me when you're done. Just do the sort of the names for me. Yes, please. All right, so just to help you guys again, what is the structure of our sort again? Can any of you remember? Yes, tell me. Oh, so close. But no, it's not for if. What is it? Okay, it's for if. Yes. So you do a for, begin and end. Then you'll need another for with a begin and end. And then you'll need a if. With a begin and end. Okay, so that's the structure. So, all right, so we created our 2 for loop variables. Then we go from 0 to 4, the first one. Then our second for loop, remember, it shouldn't be I, then our second one should be J. And where must it start? No. Yes. Must start at I and go to where? 4 is good. Yeah. All right, then now if. What do we want to compare here? So, but with that, there's a nice, radio, can I ask you just to mute again, please? All right, so with this one, you can just compare your names at position I to see if that is greater than your names at position J. Now you'll tell me, hey, but sir, how does that work? This names is strings. No problem. This first one. Oh, this one. So remember with that one. Let me just see. I wonder if I've still got it here. I wonder if it was this one. No. Okay, so but if you can remember the day we explained the sort for you guys, I created a Excel file and I showed like what we're doing here, because what we're actually doing, we're doing what's called a bubble sort. Let's write that down. So this is actually a bubble sort. So what it does, yes, so we want to compare the first one, so that will go to the first one, and then this one want to compare all the other ones to that first one to see is any one of these ones actually smaller than that one, so that we can swap it around. And then this one moves on, and then we compare everything else again. So at this stage, we want to compare all the following ones. We don't want to start at 0 every time. We want to start at where I is. Actually, the way I showed you was I plus 1. But the I also works fine. But the idea is that we start just after I. And then we want to compare all the numbers after I, or all the values after I. We want to compare the values in I to see if any one of them should swap. And then do the swap. Then I moves on, then this one starts after I again. So every time we compare everything after I, whether I want to see if we should swap them around or not. If they do, so this is our comparison. Now we want to do the swap. And remember with the swap, I explained to you, it's sort of like when we've had the 2 cups with the 2 different juices and we want to swap them around. So how do I do the swap? Yes. So temp will be which type? Yes. Because we want to swap names. So temp should also be. So then we say temp here should get the value of our names I. So we can put name I into temp. Now it's saved. So then we can put into names I. We can then give that one the value of names J. So now names J is placed in there. So then we can give names J the value of temp. And that would do the swap of all the names for us. Right. Then the only thing we need to do is we need to just get our display sorted. Because remember, we swapped all of them, but we just swapped them inside RAM. So the only thing we need to do is we need a display section. So step 1 is we take our redisplay names, .lines, .clear, just clear that. Now we want to display all the names. So we just do our for loop again from 0 to 4. And then we can do our begin and end. And then in here we can display in our redisplay.lines.add. We can display our names. Yes. So, okay, let me show you how this works and then I'll just go through the explanation. So we enter the names. Let's do a B, C, A, D, C. So you enter those names, and now if we sort it, then you'll see they go A, B, C, C, D, all sorted. So the reason why it worked, what Delphi actually does, or Pascal, once we compare names just like that, it actually looks at the ASCII value. And the ASCII value for like a A is smaller than a B. So it means B will have a bigger value than A. That means swapping them around. And it actually goes character by character. So this will work 100% fine. The only time this doesn't work nicely, because it converts to ASCII values. If you've got a small letter name and a capital letter name, then we do B, then we do capital letter B, and we do C. If we sort this now, you'll see it does all the capital letters first and then the small letters. Because if you go and look, if you Google the ASCII code, you'll see all our capital letters has got a smaller value than the small values. The small values are, I think, close to 100, somewhere there, while our capital letters are smallest, by the 60s, if I remember correctly. So it will, all the capital letter ones are seen as smaller numbers than the small letter ones. So when our case, if sum is capital and sum is small, the sort won't work, but otherwise it will work perfectly, this one, by just comparing them. So it's actually nice. We don't need to convert anything. We don't need to extract anything. You can literally just compare a name or a word to another word with a greater or smaller than sign, and it will do it for you alphabetically. All right, all of you good? All right. Okay, our search and change, very straightforward. So that's exactly the same as our previous one. So I think I'll just give you, if you can do those two for me for homework, they shouldn't be a problem. It's literally exactly the same as the other ones we've done, where you'll just ask user which one are you looking for. We'll create our for loop to go through. We'll have our if to compare, and then either just display that it's there or not, or then you can change, ask for the new value or not. So those two we can look at next time. I want to just jump to this one just to give you guys a little bit of help with this one as introduction to next time's list. So what happens here is we want to enter names until the word is stopped. So now it's not a fixed amount of times. With all the other buttons, all the array programs we've done up until today, I told you there's 10 numbers or 20 numbers or 5 words. So I gave you a fixed amount that we're working with. With this one, if you just ask the person to enter names until he types and stop, do you know how many names he's going to type in? No, we don't. All right, so with this one, what we'll do is when we create our array, we'll just make it a big number. Make it like 94. Just give it a lot of spaces so that we can just cover, doesn't matter how many words that person types in, we can sort of cover them. I mean, if it makes you feel better, you can make it 994. Just make it a big number. But for now, 94 should be fine. Obviously, the bigger you make it, the more RAM you'll use up. But our programs are so small, it doesn't actually matter so much. But yes, so we'll just make it a big number. And then in this, what we have to do here now is, do you agree? We don't know how many we're typing in. So what we will need, actually, we have to do it on top as well. We need to just create a counter for ourselves. So we just create a variable that can keep track of how many names was entered. So I generally like to use in maths. What do you guys use Q or N to tell you how many elements are there like in a sequence? N. So N is maybe a good one to use. So we'll use N and then we say integer. So N will just be for us our number of elements inside the array because we need to know how many there are. So that N will help us with that. So now what we'll do is when we start entering this, how many names have we entered at this stage before the button is clicked? Do you agree? Nothing as yet. So we'll just start N at 0. We're saying at this stage we haven't entered any names, so N should be 0. And now we can start. So this is actually very nice. If you know how many times it should happen, we use a for loop. A for loop is for a fixed amount of times. We don't know, so we've got two choices. Either a repeat loop or a while loop. A repeat is the best for me actually. So what you'll do is you just say repeat. You'll see it becomes like bold. When you click enter, it adds until for you. So this is sort of like your begin and end as well. So what you're saying to it, repeat all this code until this condition is true. So what do we want to repeat? We want to repeat asking for a name. Do you agree? So we just do that line. We can do exactly the same name as line as what we had here. Only thing is I we don't have, but we've got the N. So we just our names at position N. Then we just do input box and just ask for a name. So we're asking it now, repeat this line of code until something happens. So so when do we want to stop? Until what happens do we want to stop? So remember the button says enter names until the word stop is typed in. Alright, so we want to ask for names until what? Yeah, so until the names at position n. So until the word the person typed in, until that thing is equal to stop. So that's literally, so we say repeat this code until this name is stopped. So the only problem to make it work nicely, we actually want to ask for the first word outside. So I just copied that line of code, I just pasted it on the outside before the loop. So if we start in at 0, we can ask for the first name, and then what we have to do is, let me just see, then we'll have to display that name. We can display it afterwards, never mind. Not display. So we start in at 0, we ask for the first name, then we say repeat. Now, because n was 0, we typed in the first name into position 0, into name 0. So now our n must just become whatever n was, but plus 1. Just increment n. So that names 1 can get the next name, and we can check if names 1 is stop. And this will carry on. Once we entered all the names, we can just do this display piece of code. So copy that, just paste it there. We just need I now again. So just need to teacher. Let's quickly see what this does. Then I'll open it again for you. So now if we click this button, I can type in a name, can carry on typing names until I type in the word stop. And there's all the names I typed in. Let's see it again. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then stop. Oh, we just did 5. Oh, remember my display is only the first 5. Okay, we'll fix that next time. I'll show you what we'll do with that one next time. But yes. So, yes, ask me. So my name is an array, but n is just a normal integer, because that one will just keep track of how many elements is in the array for us. All right. And then in our enter to stop button, what we did, we created a variable I, but it was for display purposes. And then what we did in here, we just said, we started in at 0 because we didn't enter any names yet. We asked for the first name. And then we started our loop. Then we incremented n because we entered one name. So n must go to 2. Must go to 1. Then we asked for the next name. And then we checked, is the next name stopped? If it was not stopped, we incremented n, typed in the next name. Then we checked, is that one stopped? If it wasn't stopped, then we incremented n, asked for the next name. And that carried on until the name that was entered was stopped. And then we just displayed all of them. But we only displayed the first 5. What do you think this 4 can become so that we can display all the names we enter? Do we have something that can tell us how many names are in the array? Why did we create n? Yes, remember n, the whole purpose of n is to keep track of how many elements are there in the array. So we can just say display all that until n, but then -1. Remember, if there's 5, we want to go to 4. If there's 7, we want to go to 6 because of our position. So now it should work fine. So now if we enter this and I do yes, see there, now I've got 7 names. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then I type in stop. So if you say n, but just say n minus 1, because if there's 10 names, do you agree we want to go from 0 to 9? Because the 0 is included. So you just want 1 before that. So let me show you again. So if we type in names, if my names are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and then I say stop, I can see all my names, 1 to 10. So now with this, you can enter as many names as you want to, and it will stop as soon as you say stop. Otherwise, we'll just carry on going.